This is even harder than I thought it would be. First, on behalf of the family, I'd like to thank all of you for coming out today to help celebrate Evan. I'd also like to thank all of you for the support you've given us the last 5 months. The physical, emotional, financial, spiritual, philosophical, medical. We could not have done it without all of you. The love that we've gotten from our family, our friends, our community. Thank you. But we're here to celebrate Evan. You know that guy, that high energy, high motor, fun-loving, little reckless guy who'd cruise all the pool decks with his Heelys on, knocking every ref over he could. That one. That one with that mischievous little smile, and there's something in those eyes that just sucked you in. That guy. He loved life. He loved playing. He loved people. He was a fierce competitor, but he had a heart of gold. He always wanted to win, but he was always willing to share. Those are the things I always liked watching when he would play. An assist sometimes was better than taking a shot. He knew that because it was all about team, it was all about others. That's how he lived his life as well as played his sports. And thinking of him that way, it makes us, I'm sure you've all thought it, because I know I've been haunted by this. Why? It seems so unfair. I've been haunted by that, and I think if you look at the way we measure life in society and live long and prosper, he didn't make it that long. He didn't even make 10. And on the financial side, that kid couldn't save a dime if you paid him. The money burned a hole in his pocket. So maybe that's not how you're supposed to measure it. I look at what he did in his 10 years, looking at it a little differently. We like to joke about it. He met the love of his life and was faithful. Some people spend their whole life trying to do that. He won a national championship in his sport. I never got past league. He was a hockey fan, as you all know. He got to see his home team win the Stanley Cup. He was there. And even better, with some of these guys up front, he got to play on that ice, that same ice at the Stanley Cup. Stood on it. He had a chance to meet his sports heroes, meeting LT, Timu, Pronger, Niedermeyers. He got punched by Peros. Cool. But more importantly, he was loved by all of you and everyone who met him. I can't find one person who's got a bad thing to say about Evan, before this or after. And most importantly, he changed the lives of thousands of people. He touched so many people. He helped friends reconnect that had been lost. He helped people reestablish their faith. Maybe that started with asking God why, but they started that dialogue. They started asking that question. They started talking to him. And they started looking for answers. He's had many people, because of him, start volunteering in our community. I know people who are working at Ronald McDonald House now. People who are volunteering, setting up various things in our community for others. So because of Evan, as Paul said earlier, maybe that was his vocation to touch us, to bring something out of each of us. He's also going to help make a difference in the future. And because everyone knows he suffered with ALD. When he was diagnosed, they told us day one, we're sorry, there's no cure, there's no hope. But the folks at the University of Minnesota, some who are here today, are trying to change that. They're trying to give hope. And Evan was one of the leaders in a new protocol that is proven to be successful. While he was not fortunate enough to survive, it wasn't ALD. He beat ALD. It was a virus, one of the complications you get, one of the side effects from bone marrow transplants. But because of the protocol that they're using now, there are 3 more boys who are going to be checking in who now have hope. And he helped lead the way for that. He's also helping with bone marrow transplants. I've lost count, but I think because of Evan, the drives that have been held in his name, we have over 250 new members of the bone marrow registry. People who've agreed to take a half a day out of their life to help save someone else's life. I hope you all will agree to do that. And so, if you looked at it that way, maybe we're the slackers. Maybe we're the ones who just didn't get it right. Evan just took care of his business. God said, okay, it's time, bonus round, you're done. And we're the ones who have to keep struggling down here. But it still seems a little unfair, and I keep getting bothered by that. And I know my kids are always tired of me saying, well, life's not fair. I'll bet you. But I think you all know we're a sports family, pretty active. And I was thinking back to one of the parent meetings we had on the deck, and one of the coaches, giving the team philosophy, said, we're not a win-at-all-cost program. We're about teaching kids about life, hard work, working towards a goal, and how sweet that goal can be when you pay for it the right way. But more importantly, no matter what team you are, you're going to have a loss. Nobody goes undefeated forever, and that's a lesson you can learn in life. And I was struck by that as the coaches mentioned that. Everyone gets a loss, and that's something in life as well. You have to learn how to deal with it. And Evan was someone who could do that. For those of you who knew Evan well and played with Evan, he was a fierce competitor, but after the game was over, okay, what's next? Here we go. I think it's us parents who kind of grip too hard to some of these things. He was ready to move on. And I think maybe that's the last lesson that Evan's going to teach me, and maybe that's what some of us can learn. How to move on from grief. He learned it, he lived it, and now I'm going to try to learn from his example. And I'm convinced that as he breathed his final breaths, being held by his family, as he was drifting up into heaven, and his ears started to open again, and his eyes started working, he could see again. I'm convinced he saw St. Peter. He was eyeing those pearly gates with that little smirk. Sweet goal. Can I shoot on you? And I'd probably try the donut or 5-hole if he could. So, Lord, you called Evan to be with you. All I can say is I hope you've got a good night's sleep, because heaven's going to get turned up a notch higher right now. I'd like to thank you all for coming out today, for helping us celebrate. I hope you can all make it to Evan's party. This is what he wanted. When he came home, he wanted to have a beach party at T Street. We're going to do it. So, thank you for coming. And Evan, thank you for 10 wonderful, crazy years. I love you from the moment I saw you, and I'll love you forever.